Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Between the Points podcast. And I'm Greg here, and I'm with Maya. She's the mental fitness expert, and I'm super excited today. Maya, how are you doing today?
Hi, yeah, I'm really good. Very excited to be here. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, we'd like to talk tennis. You're all about visualization, and I think it is one of the. It's such a powerful tool. Studies keep coming out up that it's super helpful in sports and in the business world. I got to really ask you. There's a lot of talk about mental toughness, and the question is
Mm.
it is there really just is are we just overcomplicating things, or are some players just naturally more resilient than others?
Start with a big question. I love it. Um, no, do you know, I don't think it's a conversation of are we overcomplicating it? I think we underrate it massively. We neglect it. And if you hear any champion, they'll always tell you that when you are on that court, it is 90% mental, if not sometimes more, right? Especially at that level where everyone we know is physically very good. They've all got the skill to be there. And your mind plays such a big role, yet most of the training is physical. And it does make us wonder, why have we neglected the mental side of this? Now, yes, naturally athletes are going to have a level of mental toughness because, they're training much harder. They are going through seasons and opponents and matches all the time. But where you really see that difference between good and great is the ones who proactively train their brain and build up that muscle. So it's all fine to have it by chance, and some people can be resilient, some people less so, some people handle pressure better, some people don't. But really, where you see that change is when someone has taken ownership of that and they see it as a skill. So when an athlete regards their mental fitness as a skill, they will always do better because they are treating their training as mental as well as physical. And that is fundamental.
Totally agree. And I mean, you can see it in Iga, right? Iga is like a perfect example. She's been with a sports psychologist from the beginning, working on that mental game. And you see that in Yannick Sinner. I mean, that his comment after the US Open is just boom. I mean, it's every like coach's dream where it's like, okay, it's a loss, but I'm here for improvement. I'm working on my mind. So I'm gonna go right to it. Really, you are you familiar with Alex Zverev?
Yeah, yes.
All right. If you're his coach, you're his mental fitness coach. How do we get him to win that Grand Slam?
He's in a very interesting position at the moment. And actually, in his press conference, I really respect him for being honest about how he's feeling. And I think he's a really good example of someone who I can't see the hunger anymore. It's like one of the best balances tennis players especially can have is having this hunger, but then also this humility. And a lot of the time, when you're kind of nearly at the top, but you're not there, it's your hunger can sometimes go, especially if you've had a lot of losses and things like that. And so really, I would spend time connecting back to that spirit of like, why are you here? It's also meant to be a fun game. And I see a lot of players, they get mental health issues, they feel quite down about it, and it is quite a lonely sport because we forget why we're even there. We forget that we're playing a game here. We're trying to have fun. And that's something I really like in someone like Alcaraz, who more so recently has spoken about, I've stopped thinking about whether I'm winning or losing. And the key is like, can I have some fun? And I will always remember it was in the final of the US Open this year where he had he was about to win the championship and then he lost like a few points in a row. And even when he lost, what did he do? He smiled. He literally smiled. And that's not by chance or by accident. He's smiling because that's what this is. We're playing a game here. Yes, be as competitive as you want, be as focused and locked in as you want, but you can't lose the joy, the fun, the playfulness of why we're here. And so with someone like Zverev, I think there's the part of like really connecting back to the hunger and the inspiration that really hits the soul, not just like, okay, well, I know I'm good, so now I've got to make it. Like, do you really want it? Are you committed to this goal? Then if so, we've got to think like a champion. We've got to think like it. One, you've got to see that it's possible. Yep, 100%. And two, now it's those small, tiny, bold steps that are really going to get you there. And look, he's close. He's very, very close. It's just about um, it's really those 0.1% that make all the difference. And I really believe that if you can keep doing those inputs and your attitude, your effort, your mental game, even your physical game, then the score will 100% take care of itself. It has to. If you do keep doing those right things and you keep being innovative, you stay hungry but humble, then yeah, the right score will come for sure.
Yes, totally agree. Process over outcome. And just having that, I mean, that there's that saying, trust the process, right? So, um, how do, as I know we're talking about Zverev, we're talking about, Djokovic, we're talking about Alcaraz and Sinner, Iga, all these like high level players, but most of us are just recreational players. What
Right.
part can visualization play or mental fitness play in our game? Because as a coach, I've been doing this for over 25 years. As a coach, it's one of the reasons why I started really focusing on the mental game. I just see so many players get frustrated that are clearly very successful individuals, they're CEOs, they're lawyers, they're doctors. What part in their game, in their journey of tennis, how can use mental fitness? What things could they do to start reaching their goals in the tennis life?
Yeah. One thing I will say is I think whilst we're using tennis as the arena, all the things you learn and do from a mental fitness standpoint on the tennis court can teach you skills for life. And when I see this, let's say CEOs who also play a sport, you really do see that they can take those lessons both ways. So whether you are recreational or whether you are semi-pro, whether you are pro, when we look at mental fitness, we're looking at three key areas, which is the way you think, it's the way you feel, and it's the way you perform. So the way you think includes your self-talk, it includes your belief system, it also includes your decision making. For example, when you are under pressure on that tennis court, it's let's say deuce. I don't want you to be thinking too much. I want you to have already done that training beforehand so that when you're there, you can trust your decision making and you can trust that you'll know what to do. Then we have the feel aspect. This is really, well, do you manage your emotions? And I'll give the example of not everyone is the same. You have some players who need to express their emotions on court. Djokovic is a good example. But then you have other players like Sinner who they're quite robotic. And it's not that they're not feeling it, but every single person has a different body and mind. And so you've also got to learn your personal language here. But it's also about stress. You can be the best player there, but if you go on stressed and overthinking things, then you're not going to be able to perform. And then, of course, confidence is also a big part in the feel section. So, are you going out your way to build your self confidence? Let's say you've got an opponent that's better than you. Do you have the belief that, hey, I can do it, or I'm going to try my best and I trust myself to still play well? So, that's the feel aspect. And then we've got the performance, which is the goals. It's also your skills and habits that get you there. So, I think it's really cool to have big, brave, bold visions and goals for life. But at the same time, there's no point just thinking about it and dreaming about it if then your day to day doesn't reflect that. So that's really what we're looking at, the think, feel, and perform. So if we were taking any tennis player right now, some key aspects I would start with for your mental fitness, self-talk, great place to start. And there have been many studies that really do show that let's say you lose a point, let's say you win a point, what are you saying to yourself? And so a good example is let's say you get a few shots in the net. That's a very good way for you to just spiral down and then you lose game after game after game. But the way you talk to yourself can really change this. So even just by saying, look, next shot, next moment, or perhaps you're saying, okay, cool, I got a few in the net, next game. And in fact, I've posted about this on social media, but when I was in the French Open, there was a female tennis player, she's top 20, and I was sitting behind her coach. And she was in a game where I'd say she was definitely the better player, but she kept getting things in the net. She kept getting them in the net. And she turned to her coach and she was just like, I cannot play today. I cannot play. And you could tell it was a bit of frustration. But then she kept repeating it. Every time she hit a shot in the net, she would turn to her coach and be like, I just can't play. Now, in the first set, she said it about 10 or 12 times. And I was literally counting it. And I think what people don't realize is we think these words are meaningless, but in that moment, you are programming your brain with your self-talk to literally not play well. Because if you keep telling yourself, I can't play, your body's going to react, your motor skills are going to be less on point, your confidence is going to be lower. So I wasn't surprised that she found that set particularly hard. Um, so this self-talk piece, I think, is a really great place to start. And then, of course, visualization. Anyone can do visualization. And ironically, even the best of the best sometimes don't do it. So with visualization, I would start with two key things. One is performance visualization. So this is really about the process. And this is you mentally rehearsing your game, so you playing well. And if there's a particular shot that maybe you want to improve on, you could spend a bit more time there. So sometimes with athletes, let's say they want to improve their serve, I'll spend like a 6 minute visualization where they will do that serve over like 50, 60 times in their mind, getting it more accurate and accurate, maybe changing it a bit because the brain doesn't know the difference if you're doing it or not. So visualization is great in terms of really priming the brain to perform as best you can so that when you're there, it's muscle memory. The other thing is, which I think is very underrated, character. So if you can take a few moments before you even step on that court to be like, how am I going to show up? What's my
Mm.
body language? You know, in professional tennis, they have their walk on, they have music, they have that big announcement, and it's actually it's a really important part because how you enter that court tells a lot. Your body language, are you listening to music? Are you locked in? Whatever you're doing. And in the same way, whether we're just playing in our local league or we're doing a training session, show up like you mean it, like you're there to give 100%, like you are there locked in. So I would suggest closing your eyes and you think, okay, what's my body language going to be? You know, what's my energy? How am I going to walk? How am I going to talk? All those things matter. So those are two I'd really, really start with. And then the more, you know, we can go into this, things like creative visualization are great if you've got some fears or injuries, but then also being able to rehearse moments of pressure. And you really experience the nerves or perhaps the lack of accuracy, the lack of consistency, but in your mind, you improve your performance so that when you're there and you are in those situations, again, your brain is not like, whoa, this is so unfamiliar. It's like, hey, I've been here and I know what to do. So it really can be applied in all these different ways. But I'd say those are some key things you could start with.
Awesome. I mean, the point of like how you show up on the court, I mean, it's clear. Iga, Nadal, they walk on in the court, you know they're ready for battle. I mean,
Mm,
Rafa's like, jumping up and down, boom, boom, boom. He's ready. I forget there was a clip. Oh gosh, it was Rafa, and I think it was a Rude, maybe was the other guy. And Rafa was jumping up and down. He's like getting ready, getting pumped. And I think this was right before a championship. And then Rude was just kind of like, he looked
yeah.
like a deer in the headlights, and it was clear. Boom,
Yeah.
he got right, and then Nadal just crushed him.
I think one thing I would say though is I
Yes.
agree and also disagree. So there's two things here.
Okay.
Someone I love when it comes to character is I think Sabalenka does this incredibly well.
Hmm.
And she has this character of a tiger and she embodies it a lot
Hmm.
to the point that, you know, Nike even put tiger prints on her laces and she has a tattoo of it. Her whoop strap is a tiger. And people may think, oh, okay, that's not going to make a difference, but it really does because when she is on court, all these little things prime her to get that inner strength, that inner fire, that inner fierceness. Now, there are moments where the tiger is too much, and she has to learn how to, control it as well. But she does that very well. But one thing I would say is, so post US Open, I also saw a clip where they were comparing the warm-ups of Yannick Sinner and Alcaraz. And, people were being really, I guess, judgmental to be like, oh, Sinner's just having a bit of fun, whereas Alcaraz is really locked in. And even take the example you gave where Nadal's really jumping up and down and Ruud was maybe just like in a different state. There is no right way. There is really no right way because some players do need to energize themselves before coming on court, whereas actually some may need to be in quite a calm state. And this again comes to what do you need? Because if you look at there's that performance graph, right? You've got your level of performance and then level of arousal. Now, if your level of arousal is too much, then you can't perform well. You've gone down the graph. But if you don't have enough arousal, then you also can't play as well. Now, naturally, some players are going to have existing arousal that's a bit too fidgety, so they may need to calm down a little bit. So I think sometimes we're quite quick to be like, well, oh my God, this one has more energy and not. But really, it's about what do you need in that moment before going on? Because I know some players who listen to like classical music and read philosophy before they go on. But then I know some players who are listening to like heavy metal and are, getting really pumped up. Again, no right way. It is finding out for you what personally works.
How do
That's
we?
where you find your zone of performance.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Well, how do we figure that out? How do we figure out what we actually need?
Yeah, there's the question. So it's a bit of experimenting for sure. And this is where learning the language of your body and mind is really important. So when I work with an athlete, I will generally first try the more energetic side to really bring that arousal where you are quite pumped up. And we actually evaluate the performance because some people can't maintain it either. Now, one thing to remember, it's an inner thing. It's not an outer thing. And often that's the case, right? We see someone who's maybe not as energetic, but they might be inner, like feeling that fire. So really, it's about trying it out, testing it, experimenting, iterating with it. But one thing I would say is choose a character. Choose a character that you can come on court with. So for Sabalenka, it might be a tiger, so it could be an animal. Sometimes with players, it's just like a 2.0 version. So it might be like Maya 2.0, Greg 2.0. And if you can, just before going on, be like, okay, I need to embody that version of myself. And this is what we call the Batman effect, right? It's someone that we can strive towards where when we get on court or on pitch or on the track, it pushes us to just be that little bit more extra. And this isn't just used in tennis, this is used a lot in sport. And the Batman effect is so fun. When you can create your character, you can connect to it, it becomes part of your toolbox that you can use in moments of struggle, but also in moments of strength as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thanks for sharing that little quick tidbit. I've got to really, I really want to talk about your book.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into visualization.
Yeah, absolutely. So my journey is, I guess, a little bit, well, long, but also not really what I thought it was going to be. So I guess a long story short is, so today I am the UK's leading mental fitness and visualization experts, and I work a lot with elite athletes. So this is tennis players, runners, boxers, football, as well as a lot of executives and CEOs. However, when I got into this space, it didn't really exist. So for me, I used to play sport when I was younger, a lot of sports, but I really took a liking to badminton and I played that professionally. I played that, county level, national, etc. So that was really what I wanted to take forward. Unfortunately, when I was about 15, I was diagnosed with a condition called ulcerative colitis, which is a chronic disease that unfortunately is incurable.
Hmm.
Now, initially, it didn't really affect my life. I kind of just kept going, took some medication, and was like, okay. But my symptoms just was so severe. And day by day, it was getting worse and worse and worse to the point that then, I lost my energy, I lost my strength, I wasn't able to walk at some points. And the symptoms are very, very physically demanding because essentially it's the inflammation of the colon. So, I was going to the toilet like 30, 35 times a day. You're on about 60 tablets every day, and it's steroids, it's infusions. And so, at that point, I just had to focus on survival and trying to get through another day, another night, another hour sometimes. Um, and so it was actually this one day in hospital where this nurse, she was like to me, Maya, if you weren't laying here, where would you be? And, for a long time, everything I ever wanted to do, whether that was study, play badminton, have the potential of taking it even further, had gone. And it was just snatched away from me. So I was very bitter about it. But in that one moment, I remember kind of responding to her question, but on my own. And the only thing I wanted to do was walk again. That was it. It wasn't anything crazy. It's something we all take for granted, but I hadn't done it in a while. And so I remember closing my eyes and I imagined myself, I literally rehearsed it in my mind, walking in the hospital hallway. And I was like teaching my brain that this is what I was going to do. I was telling it, we are going to walk. And it's not that suddenly I could get up and walk, but what I noticed was my mind, for the first time in a long time, was like, well, hey, what if you can walk again? What if you could go on a run again? What if you could play badminton? And I really remember seeing this image of me playing badminton in university or college. And that was so far from me, but I was like, no, I do see that, and I'm going to make that happen. And so slowly and steadily, I continued to use what I now know is visualization to learn how to walk again and recover from that state. Um, and now it's been about 7.5 years. And I sit here today, not only having overcome this disease and I'm on no medication and, I don't experience symptoms, but I genuinely have transformed the way I think, feel, and perform in life. And I owe this to the fact that we can rewire our brain. And specifically, I did it with visualization, yes. Um, and so now it's about sharing it with the rest of the world. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't like an overnight thing. It took some grueling discipline and years and commitment and practice every day. But I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Like, I'm so grateful and proud that I
Yeah.
can be here today.
That's amazing. That's a great story. And I love, you hear so many times where like people are in the moment of like, of just, everything's just falling apart and they find a little glimmer of hope, a little bit of like getting out of that little whatever they're struggling with, and it leads them to a whole new life, a transformation into being something that they always dreamed, and finally going. I feel like it's almost like life gives us those moments to kind of just say, hey, this is your opportunity to really grow. This is your opportunity to become what you've been thinking about and doing. I have a little bit of a story like that. I had my own health issues, but I got out of it. I got into biohacking. But and now I feel really inspired about sharing all the knowledge that I've been. Um, so so I'm a tennis player. Should I pick up your book?
No, no, I'm
No.
kidding. Um, I actually have it. I have it here.
Okay.
So yeah, the book. So this is Visualize.
Cool.
Um, so I wrote Visualize. It came out this year, and the thing that excites me the most about this book is that it's contributing new knowledge to the visualization space. Because when I learn about visualization and have spent now, the last 5, 6, 7 years researching it, practicing it, teaching it, I just learned that so many people don't take advantage of it. Now, I have spoken to Olympians, champion athletes, players who are like, yeah, Maya, I visualize the outcome. But I'm like, yeah, but have you done the other four techniques? And they're like, oh, no, I've never thought about that. And so the book is a way for someone to master their mind with visualization. And of course, there's other bits of it, whether it's self-talk, confidence, I put it all in there. But really, this is about you learning how to think, feel, and perform like the top 1%. And that's going to mean something different for everyone. Whether you are like, yes, just an amateur player, whether you are a champion. Um, and what I've made sure to do is just make it really practical. So there are over like 15 guided visualizations in here that are scripted, that also have music. And on the audiobook, you can also listen to it, that allow people to immerse themselves in it rather than just reading about it. Because I think with mental fitness, it's so easy to be like, yeah, okay, next time I'm under pressure, I'll do this. But you have to practice. You have to put the reps in. You have to get good at the skill. That's what's going to make the difference. Um, so yeah, it excites me because of what it's contributing that's very new. And really, if you can master those techniques, you gain a huge advantage in life, but also in sport.
I love it. I'm excited. And personally, I use a lot of visualization during my matches and before. I've been doing more of that. And since I've been doing it, like actually, I had a match. And one thing that I do during points, and I coach my players to do is do what's called a performance statement. And then also, I have moments where I'm just like, instead of what I'm doing is I'm seeing myself make contact with the ball. Like before I serve, I'm seeing myself reach up. And another really quirky like little thing that I do. Sometimes I get a little nervous about like twisting an ankle or my knees feeling really hurt. So what I do,
Yeah.
I take a moment and I imagine myself like become bionic, like that part of my knee
Yeah.
becoming like a superhero, like all of a sudden, like, and I hear it too. It's like, my knee gets like wrapped in like this bionic, like whatever thing. And all of a sudden, and it just kind of goes away. So could you share with us something, one of your techniques in the book right now that would really help a tennis player deal with the nerves, or maybe something that you think could be something really helpful? They'll give them a little taste of the book.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's bring in two here. So one is I get a lot of people coming to me saying, "Oh no, Maya, like I feel really nervous and I don't want to feel nervous." I think the point is nerves are very human. They're natural. But what's really great is that nerves are actually just energy in the body, right? And that's why you get a lot of psychologists and performance coaches telling us that really nerves and excitement, it's the same like chemical reaction in the body. It's just what we label it as. And so I'm very much like welcome the nerves, use them. Yes, we don't want them to overdo it and then it doesn't let us perform. But I think a really big part of this is being okay, the fact that you're nervous. The more you push that away, the more then your body's going to also think that you're basically not in a safe place. The other thing I would say is I really like the teacup formula. So, teacup formula comes from British rugby, actually. It was from one of the head coaches, and it stands for thinking correctly under pressure. And what it is it's three words that really align the mind, the body, and the heart. So, this can be something like, it can be as simple as hit the ball. It can also be calm, smile, dominate. It can also be uh, it's just a game. Every player gets to choose their own teacup formula because when you are under pressure, if you can have this one or two anchor words that brings you back to your core, back to remembering, well, actually, why am I here? Or back to remembering, hey, I trust myself, it's so useful. So the teacup formula I have found has helped a lot of players because when they are in pressure, rather than trying to think, oh no, let me say every self-talk I have, or let me look at my coach, or let me try and visualize me getting the serve in, just by saying those three words, or two words if you want, it really brings you back to that center. So the teacup formula, and also with nerves, and also remembering that nerves will come up because either you're trying to run away from something in the past, or you put so much pressure on yourself that you are too attached to the outcome that's going to happen. Those are the two biggest mental barriers I see in tennis and generally in sports, is you are running away from failure, something in the past, or you are too attached to winning and losing. But really, that peak performance is in the present. And when you realize that, hey, like I get to be here, I'm just going to be grateful for that. It's a great way to also overcome some of those nerves because ultimately you can only do your best in the present. All the other training, all the other prep has to be beforehand. So use your mental preparation way before you're even in that competition. That's really the key here.
Cool. I love it. Yes, definitely got to put the work in, just like, the reps, I think that's why
Yeah.
you hit it on the mark. Mental fitness, it's not just mental strength, it's mental fitness. Getting out there and working, whether it's daily or three times a week, just doing a little bit, 5-10 minutes of working on your mind, just like you work on your forehand, just like you work on your backhand in your serve, and then you'll be much more prepared uh, to take on those nerves, to take on the actual pressure situation. What's the biggest mental mistake you see tennis players make in high pressure moments? And how does it actually show up physically in their game?
Biggest mistake players make in high pressured moments is one, they don't trust themselves, or two, they haven't done the mental preparation beforehand. Therefore, it's unfamiliar to their brain. But pressure is predictable. Pressure is so predictable. So if you can do that training beforehand, then you won't feel like, oh no, what do I do? So it shows up physically by either they're doing a lot of double faults, their focus is really off, they're distracted, and also the chatter in the mind, it will start saying, don't get it in the net. It will start saying, okay, you need to do the perfect forehand now. So when those thoughts start to come in, it's because you're not trusting that part of you that has already done the work. And if you haven't done the work, then there's your problem. So you can see the kind of layers there.
I hear you on that one. Gratitude.
Mm.
You just posted something really cool. And I always talk about gratitude as being kind of the secret to playing happy tennis. But
Yeah.
apparently we're all doing it wrong. Or could be doing it wrong.
Yeah. So yes. So first, what I believe is the gratitude, well, success without gratitude is failure. And I have a lot of players that are like, Maya, what's next? What's next? I've just won this. Now what? And it's like 1 second. Let's take a moment to actually appreciate it. And one thing I want to say is, I was reading one of the books by Tim Grover, and he's the guy who coached Michael Jordan. And there's a chapter in it where it talks about how when Michael Jordan wins, he doesn't celebrate it. Now, I don't like that. I don't like this thing of like, okay, what's next? All the research shows that to really stay a champion, you have to celebrate those wins. You have to. And I think the difference in what I posted here is that a lot of us, we think about the wins. Like I had a player who would say to me, Maya, every morning I write down three things I'm grateful for. Now, that is all good. But if you kind of just wake up and do it a bit like blasé, like, yeah, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, it doesn't actually change your emotional state or your mindset. So, what you want to do is feel the gratitude. You want to actually feel it in the body. And gratitude, when it's felt like that, that's where you actually see a change in maybe how you think about something or how you feel about something. So, what we want to try and do is make it more felt experience in the body, not just a cognitive experience in the mind. That's the really key thing there.
And how do we do that?
So, I use creative visualization for this, and that is that process of you close your eyes and you just think of the thing that you're grateful for. and then drop into your body. Now, what I do is I then ask, okay, what does gratitude look like in the body? Is it like, a yellow ball? Is it like a sun? Is it like a tiger? Whatever it is. And then you feel it. Let your body expand it. It can be just like a light that fills your body. Because again, the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and imagined. So you can use creative visualization to actually change your body and just feel the difference. You'll see a massive difference in just like how your body is a bit lighter, it's a bit more grounded, you might even feel a bit tingly. So that's one thing I'd suggest. Or two, really basic, just spend a moment with the gratitude rather than just thinking about it. Close the eyes, focus on the heart, and then you can open your eyes. So that would be the simplest thing to do.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I work on the gratitude a lot, and I totally agree with you that we got to feel it. It's something that I actually learned a little bit from Tony Robbins about, like,
Yeah,
beginning really into that state in order for you to really get into your body. Um,
for sure.
so, all right, everyone's gonna go get the book. What's something that you're working on that you're excited about that we need to keep an eye out so that we can, keep playing our best tennis or anything.
Yeah, I
Just
love that. Well, look, I day to day, I want to work on just being a better coach so I can share more insights. I'm really deep into the research of like probably the top 20 sports psychologists in the world since like the 1800s, and I'm trying to bring all their stuff together.
mm,
Um, my community's coming out where people can really learn how to visualize and actually practice it as well. And then, of course, yeah, like the book. So always happy to chat to people, get in touch if you have a specific question. Yeah, very happy to answer as well.
okay, awesome. So where do we find you? Where's the best place
So
to find you?
Instagram is maya.mental.fitness. My website is Maya Raichoora. The book is Visualize, which you can find anywhere, and it's out in America as well. And then YouTube as well. So you can just type my name in and you'll probably find all the different things too.
Perfect, awesome. And I'll definitely make sure I link everything up in the show notes. Uh, let's finish up here with a couple quick fireside questions. I always like to just ask these at the end to kind of like get to know you a little bit more on a different level. You've been amazing. And so here they go. Whatever comes to mind, quick, short, or long, up to you. Um, what's one thing that people don't know about you?
I eat a melon every single day in the morning. There you go. I have one melon every day.
1 million. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Is there any reason for that?
it's just great for you. Very good for you. Very
Nice.
healing.
Favorite tennis tournament?
Wimbledon for sure.
Yes, we kind of touched up on that. All right.
Yeah.
Favorite food to cook when at home.
Ooh, I love mashed potato.
How do you make it?
Yeah, I love mashed potato. I have it a lot.
What's your recipe? Or is that a secret?
Literally, just steam potatoes and mash them, and then put loads of salt on it. It's great.
Do you put butter in it?
No, not always. I actually love just tasting the vegetable. Never forget the power of just a simple steamed potato.
Yes, I'm Polish and like having a potato with your meal is always.
Yeah,
Um, do you play tennis?
I do. I do. Badminton is more my sport, but yes, I do play tennis. And I think naturally by coaching loads of people, I've just become better at tennis myself, which is always an advantage I didn't know I'd get in the end.
So then, if you play tennis, what is your best shot in tennis?
I'm a drop shot kind of person. That's how I catch people out. I do a drop shot.
The drop shot queen. All right, cool. Just like
Yes.
Alcaraz. All right,
Yes.
Maya. This has been fantastic. Is there anything else you want to share with us? Anything that you want to get out there in the world?
No, all good. This has been a great conversation and thank you. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the time. And everybody, make sure to check out Maya's book. Go listen to all her work on her Instagram. It's fantastic. And have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next one.
Thanks. See you later. Bye.